A very good morning and warm welcome to one and all present this morning along with us. The Honorable Chief Guest for the conference, Dr. Kanan Mudgalia, the professor from the Department of Chemical Engineering IIT and head of the Spoken Tutorial Project, Government of India. Honorable Guest of Honor, Dr. M. Shashikumar, the Senior Director of SIDAC. Honorable Principal Madam, Dr. Mrs. C.T. Chakravarti, the Vice Principals, Deans, Team IQSC, office bearers of the advisory and organizing committee of the conference, heads and coordinators, faculty members, students, and respected delegates across the country. It is indeed a great pleasure and pride to welcome you all for this one-day national conference on Open Source Data Science 2022, organized by IQSC of TCSC and Department of Computer Science in association with the University of Mumbai, Spoken Tutorials, Software Training Project by IIT Mumbai, and International Journal of Research and Analytical Reviews on this particular morning of Saturday, 5th March 2022. Dear delegates, in the modern world, a proliferation of the data is being gathered from all the sources. Data about the lifestyle, habits, dietary preferences, music choices, then purchasing habits, energy consumption, weather systems, migratory patterns, seismic activities, and various other field activities, which can be collected together and where the computer and IT are playing a very significant role with a constant input into the pool of the data. Data science is a branch dealing with the capturing, processing, and analyzing the data to gain the new insights after analyzation of the data and its interpretation. Data scientists are dealing with a vast amount of information from different sources and in different contexts so that there can be unique type of study which can be presented in the context of the human being and the future context as well. There are so much of things which are involved into the data science, which can be algorithms, artificial intelligence, machine learning, human interpretation, and many more. There are various broad fields which are coming under this particular purview, which can include medicine, astrology, astronomy, meteorology, marketing, sociology, and of course, the human psychology. So on this particular note, dear spectators, we all are together today for this particular platform to discuss, deliberate, and brainstorm and reach out to the largest section of the society. So let's begin our journey this morning by offering our worships to the Almighty God by the Indian tradition and custom. So may I kindly request all the dignitaries to please proceed for lighting of the lamp along with Ganesh Vandana. May I kindly request the team Computer Science to please do the honors. I request Ashish Trivedi sir, the convener of the conference, to please escort all the dignitaries on the dais for lighting of the lamp. Can we go ahead with Ganesh Vandana, please?
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anah Shrinvannuti Viseda Satanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebirvajinivati Dinama Vitrayavatu Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswate Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you so much, all of you. I kindly request dignitaries to please take their seat on the dais. I thank the team Computer Science for playing this particular Ganesh Vandana for every one of us. Dear spectators, it has been said that when it is well done, it is half done. So definitely this conference is going to be not only successful in terms of the participation, but we are going to have the congenial solutions for various kinds of problems and the things what we are going to discuss across. On this particular auspicious note, may I kindly request Principal Dr. C.T. Chakravarti, the Principal of Thakur College of Science and Commerce, the Captain of the Ship, to please deliver her welcome address. May I kindly request, ma'am? Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Audible? Okay, okay. So, good morning to all of you. I welcome the Honorable Chief Guest, Kanan Mougalia, and the guest of honor, Dr. M. Shashikumar, all the invitees and the participant, teachers and students for one-day virtual conference on Open Source Data Science 2022. Today's National Conference on Open Source Data Science is organized by Department of Computer Science in association with IQAC in collaboration with University of Mumbai and also Spoken Tutorial Project IIT Mumbai and International Journal of Research and Analytical Review. The principal purpose of data science is to find patterns within data. It uses various statistical techniques to analyze and draw insight from the data. From data extraction, wrangling, and pre-processing a data, scientist must scrutinize the data thoroughly. Then he has the responsibility of making prediction from the data. The goal of a data scientist is to derive conclusion from the data. Through these conclusions, he is able to assist companies in making smarter business decisions. Considering this, there is high demand of skilled, efficient data scientists throughout the globe. There are many opportunities. But students, check, are you ready? Machine learning is the method of data analysis, the automatic analytical model building. All of you must be knowing driverless cars, how such cars run. Now, data science has become a field for industries like education, e-commerce, banking, and many more sectors. Data is more important than the organizational infrastructure. Data is a big asset of any institute. Management and use of this data is very crucial job. Again, I wholeheartedly welcome all the delegates present here with us. We are fortunate enough to get supported by a group of learners and educators with whom we will interact in the conference. As you know, the current scenario of data science and machine learning, we all have gathered here to discuss the theme of open science, data science, open source data science. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, you are always the guidance and support for all the endeavors of TCSC, and thank you so much where actually this particular seed has come up into this kind of a conference which is blooming like a tree because of madam's idea, and she is always supported every one of us to organize such kind of national and international conferences. So we are very fortunate to be the part of TCSC family. Now, dear delegates, Thakur College of Science and Commerce is the host and organizer of this particular conference. So, it is very much required and relevant to understand TCSC in a nutshell along with its quality perspective. Hence, may I kindly request Dr. Santosh Singh, the IQSC coordinator, to take over the podium and give us the information about TCSC and its quality perspective in a nutshell. Over to you, Dr. Santosh.
Good morning, all of you, all the dignitaries, chief guest. Okay. Good morning, all of you, all the dignitaries, chief guest of the conference, Dr. Kanan, Professor IIT Mumbai, Dr. Shashikumar, guest of honor, Director CDEC. On behalf of Thakur College of Science and Commerce and as a capacity of IQAC coordinator, I welcome all of you for this one-day conference, national conference on open source data science. Nutshell about the Thakur College of Science and Commerce. We started our journey in 1997 with a few departments, and now we have got over 25 programs, more than 14,000 students in the campus, and we have completed a third cycle of the NAC with last two cycle as a A grade. TCSC awarded as a best college award from University of Mumbai for the academic year 2018 and 19. And as per the Education World 2020, TCSC secured 55th rank in India as a top ranked private autonomous college and 15th rank in Maharashtra. Just now we have received a prestigious award from Governor, that is Pride of Maharashtra, by Sri Bhagat Singh Koshyari ji for doing excellent work in the area of education. IQSC, we are committed for a quality education, and we conduct a various program under our program called Skill and Talent Enhancement Program, which is also one of the best practices. And we conduct many skill development program. We conduct many program related with women's empowerment and various environmental program. We are also having one prestigious program called CARE, that is connecting all to respect and recreate environment. During last 2.5 years of a COVID situation, we have conducted many programs where across the world many participants they have joined, and they all have a fruitful outcome. I welcome all of you for this one-day national conference on open source data science, which is organized by Computer Science Department and IIT Mumbai Spoken Tutorial. This conference is having a many track like data storage, artificial intelligence, deep learning, data management, open source data, and a various other track here. Application of artificial intelligence and machine learning is now widely discussed, and this is also now a part and parcel of our day-to-day activity, which helps in a various sector like a healthcare, various administrative activity, starting with the shopping to automated vehicle everywhere. There are variety of open source system which also we use in a day-to-day activity, like operating system, various office related product, content management, and various product of area of communication. Data science and data analytics are also one of the very widely discussed topic across the world, and I am very much sure here in this one-day conference through a paper presentation in a various area like image recognitions or image processing or web-related technologies or various other area like a healthcare and other area, you all will have a fruitful outcome. Once again, I welcome all of you on behalf of IQSC of Thakur College of Science and Commerce for this one-day conference, and I am very much sure all the participants will have a fruitful outcome. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Vinit Vaidya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santosh. That was IQSC coordinator of Thakur College of Science and Commerce, who has given in a nutshell that what exactly is the information about the college as well as the quality perspective. Now let's proceed. A data scientist gathers the data, passes and normalizes it. And then it is going to create the routines for the computer to run the data on search of the pattern trained and will be helpful for the visualization. For instance, if you have ever created a pie chart or a bar graph from the field of spreadsheet, then you have already acted as a data scientist somewhere. So we need to understand that what exactly is the purpose of every occasion. And we need to even understand that why we are together on this particular platform for this morning. So we need to understand what is the exact gist of this particular conference and what is the motto. So may I kindly request Mr. Ashish Trivedi, the coordinator of Department of Computer Science as well as the convener of this particular conference, to please take over the days to explain to us about the conference. Mr. Ashish Trivedi.
Thank you, Vinit sir. Very good morning to all of you present over here, and it's my privilege to welcome all the people here, our respected chief guest, Dr. Kanan sir, Kanan Modgale sir, a guest of honor, Dr. Shashikumar sir, Dr. Mudolkar sir, principal madam, vice principals, all deans, IQSC coordinators, and it gives, I welcome all for this one-day virtual conference on the open source data science. Today's national conference on the open source data science is organized by the Department of Computer Science in association with the IQSC and the University of Mumbai Spoken Tutorial, IIT Mumbai project, and the International Journal of Research and Analytical Reviews. The purpose of the data science is to find the patterns in the data, as all of you are aware of, and it uses the various statistical techniques to analyze and draw the insights from the data. From the data extraction and the various pre-processing, which is the requirement of the today's scenario, the data scientist must scrutinize the data for the efficient utilization. And as you are aware of that, there is a large volume of data is available. How to make use of the data in an efficient manner, that is the requirement of the today's scenario. Subsequently, very important part is we have to make the predictions from the data available to us. That is where the data scientist role comes into the play. And through these conclusions, he has to assist the companies, the organizations, how the business decisions can be made in an effective and in a smarter way. Considering this, there is a high demand of the skilled, efficient data scientists throughout, the globe. There are many opportunities are there, and keeping this thing in mind, we have arranged this particular conference wherein we can get the new ideas, the innovative ideas in the field of data science. Like machine learning and artificial intelligence, pattern recognition, these are virtual reality, these are some of the domains where the data scientists play a very crucial role in making the effective decisions. Further, for analyzing, the data modeling and analytical data modeling also is one of the very crucial area where the data scientist has an important role to play. It is honored and I'm really privileged to welcome such dignitaries on this particular one-day conference. And I'm delighted to tell that we have received approximately 80 papers from all over India, ranging from Pune, Aurangabad, Nagpur, Marathwada region, even from the Delhi, Chandigarh. So from the various, the places we have received the data in the large amount, and I'll be really looking forward for the presentation of the people, and it will give us an insight into the data scientist and what the data scientists can play a role in the today's scenario. So once again, I wholeheartedly welcome all the dignitaries present over here, all the researchers for this open source data science, and I hope that this conference will really give an insight into the scenario, into the existing scenario, how we can efficiently process the data. Thank you one and all for this. Over to you, Vineet, sir.
Thank you so much, Ashish sir, to enlighten us about the fields of data science, which is not only for the computer science or IT, but every field is been occupied by this particular data science today. And it is a need of the hour that we have to look upon this particular field as the upcoming opportunities, and we need to train our students to get into that. So with this kind of a thing, we are going to proceed where we are waiting for two distinguished gracious personalities who are going to talk to us. One of them is Dr. M. Shashikumar, who is a Senior Director of CDAC, the guest of honor for today. And to introduce him, may I kindly request Mr. Mahesh Gurunani, a Senior Faculty from Department of Computer Science, TCSC. Mr. Mahesh Gurunani, over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I really feel fortunate to introduce Dr. M. Shashikumar. Dr. M. Shashikumar is currently the Executive Director of CDAC Mumbai. He has been with CDAC since 1987 after completing his BTech from IIT Madras. Further, he did Masters from IISc Bangalore and doctorate from BITS Pilani. His area of interest are artificial intelligence, robotics, and educational technology. He has co-authored 2 books. One is with Prentice Hall on parallel computing. 7 students have completed their PhD under his guidance and 3 are in progress. He has initiated and nurtured a number of projects in the area of artificial intelligence and e-learning during his career. The OLabs project has created 170 plus virtual labs for school and have received wide appreciation from CBSE and NCERT, particularly in this pandemic. Dr. Shashikumar has over 100 publications so far. He is program committee member in a number of international conferences and member of board of studies and advisory board for select institutes. He is fairly active on Facebook, LinkedIn, ResearchGate, etc. I welcome you, sir, in Thakur College of Science and Commerce. Thank you very much. Over to you, Vinit, sir.
So definitely we all are eager to listen to Dr. Shashikumar. So may I kindly request, sir, please take the podium and please deliver your address, Dr. Shashikumar. Over to you, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself. You are muted. Sincere apology to intervene. Technical term, can you please unmute Dr. Shashikumar?
Yeah, sorry, I was not allowed to unmute. It was it's saying permission denied. So and I
Sincere
was not able
apology,
to
sir.
tell
You are
that I
audible. You
don't
can
have
proceed.
permission.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sure. So thank you for the invite to join this event, and for inviting me as the guest of honor for this function today. So I will take a few minutes and share some of the some perspective on data science. Let me see if I can share the slides. Second, yeah, okay. I hope the slides are visible. Okay, I think so. Right. Okay. So yeah. So I kind of very generally titled it as a glimpse, but basically I will talk about a little bit about the sides that people normally don't talk about, because I'm sure a lot of papers are going to be talking about different applications of data science and different techniques that are used for various kinds of tasks. So somebody has raised their hand. Is there some problem? Okay. Anyway, you can possibly attend to that. So what I am going to talk about is I think all the opening speakers from the college has actually talked about what data science is. Yes, it is a hot buzzword today. Everybody is talking about it in one form or the other. And even if you go to social media, you can find hundreds of advertisements which promises to turn you into a data science almost overnight. 1 week into data science, 3 months into data science, 1 year into data science, lots of different courses on MOOC platforms like Udemy and all that. Also, you can find lots of effort to train people into the data science stream, right? So and at the same time, you will also find a lot of people posting or sharing experience, over various kinds of prediction tasks, and I think literature is also full of applications of data science. But I think it is also important for us to kind of step back and ask the question, what does it actually mean? And how does it work? Because often I find that people are taking a relatively shallow understanding of the field, and because there are characteristics of the field which makes it apparently rewarding even with that limited understanding. So that is the place where I think as researchers we should step in. We should try to understand the field in some depth and also look at the challenges and pitfalls. And today, if you also look at the literature a little more carefully, you can also find lots of publications challenging the way data science is moving today, because there are concerns about where it is leading to. And of course, as one of the introduction said, data science has a very close overlap with machine learning and therefore to AI also. So we will also be staying in that boundary of focusing on the machine learning aspects. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So yes, we have electronic data everywhere today. So if you look at 10 years back, data was the problem because maybe except to Google or places like that, nobody had data. Today, huge amount of data is being collected in some form or the other. I mean, if you walk around in Mumbai itself, you can find so many surveillance cameras, for example. Right? So today, drivers are getting automatic receipts online saying that on that day, in this signal, you cross red light and, therefore you have to pay some fine. There is no policeman there. There is nothing. So you are just out of the surveillance data. People are able to extract these things and penalize people. And similarly, and particularly because of the pandemic, a lot of people are online today in modes like this. For example, if you do a Zoom meet or a Google meet or whatever of this type, again you are producing so much of data because all of your video data that is getting created, your interactions, your chat logs, your responses, all of that are actually data, and which is also being used productively and otherwise by lots of people for various things. So there is click data, there is purchase data, there is surveillance data, and so on that is getting created. So you go to an online platform, you go and even from a shop, you go and buy something, you get an electronic receipt today, with the product ID, expiry date, and things like that. So all of that means that a lot of things are being produced electronically. There is plenty of data everywhere. But the question is that, is that the data which is appropriate for doing the task that we are expecting it to do? So we want to build predictive behavior. We want to predict what brands you are likely to buy. We want to predict what is the appropriate price margin that you are likely to be interested in using. Or if you let's say look at health data, you use eye scan to predict various diseases. You have online analysis and things like that to do name it. You have to predict your search behavior. So there is huge amount of tasks that we are interested in. So and the data that you are picking up is not necessarily aligned to that. Okay, because the data that you are using for as input to these tasks are usually prepared for a purpose different from it. So when you are doing, for example, surveillance data is not really meant to do face analysis or whatever, but it is to be from a security point of view, just to want to look at where crowds are formed and things like that. If you look at the shopping sites, they are interested in getting the product information and billing you correctly, and that billing more or less happens with a lot of information, a lot of automation. So there is a transparency, but it is not meant to be faithful to your purchase behavior, right? So for example, if you have bought let's say one particular type of pen, and you let's say you are unable to get the barcode of that, you may pick up any other product with a similar price and bill it. You are happy because you are still paying the same amount, and they are happy because they are getting the money. But what does it mean? You are actually distorting the data that is being produced because you are on record, you have purchased an item which you never did. So the purpose for which the data is being produced is, and the purpose for which we are using the data are issues that we need to be careful with. So quantity and quality are also concerns in most cases, and we need to understand what does it mean. How do we? We claim that we have huge amount of data, but if you actually look at a particular task and the requirements, you find that you don't have enough data of the type that you want, and then there are quality issues which I'm going to come back in the next slide. So and but it's also the most important thing that we also need to remember is that when you are trying to look at a particular aspect, let's say my purchase behavior, what I would like to purchase, how do I arrive at my purchase is what you want to model. But the purchase data that you have do not necessarily capture that the process that you are trying to model. It reflects it. Like, for example, if you look at let's say thousands of items which I have purchased over the last 1 year, you can get a pretty good idea about what my interests are, what you would do. But if you look at one day's purchase or set of purchase data, you possibly won't get what is my purchase plan, because that purchase doesn't necessarily represent my purchase behavior. So data reflects the process which produced it, but does not represent or capture it. So that is where adequacy becomes important. So 1 line, 3 line, 10 line, 100 line, we don't know at what point in time are we able to get enough data which we can reverse engineer to say that, yes, this is a good representation of the process. So how much data do we need? So as I said, one entry in the table does not tell you anything about the characteristic of the data. If you get 1,000 entries, maybe you will begin to see some trend. You can do some patterns. So as data set approaches infinity, these patterns become better and better representations of the underlying phenomena. As long as they are finite, you do compromise on to what extent this information is being captured. Okay, so the next problem that you have is also, yes, we have some amount of data, but as I said, the data has lot of dirt in it. There is a lot of cleaning that is required. And this cleaning is not always very straightforward. So most of the data we have access to have many reliability challenges. The one of the most critical point is that do they represent the population of interest fairly? Okay, so if you want to look at, for example, India's purchase plan, is Amazon's e-commerce record a good indicator? Is Flipkart's indicator a good indicator? Is Big Basket a good indicator? So obviously, there are biases in all of them. Okay, only certain subset of the people are actually using these platforms. So if I look at that, oh, well, so Amazon is very popular. So many millions of people are using it. So therefore, let me assume that this is how India does its purchase. You are possibly going to make a big mistake in terms of that the plan that you do. So do they represent the population of interest very fairly? Are the entries reliable? So as I mentioned the earlier case, so you buy one item, but maybe for whatever reason you are not able to get it, or sometimes people actually put the wrong barcode. But you may not mind, we'll say, because the price is the same. So how does it matter to me whether if my plastic toy is put a label of some wine bottle? Doesn't matter to me as long as I'm paying the same price. But what are you trying to tell the data? That you are actually purchased wine instead of the toy, right? So lot of guesswork data, lot of dummy entries. So the person at the counter will ask you, can you tell me your mobile number, or can you tell me something? And you don't want to give the number, or maybe you don't even remember. So you will go and give some number, because he will not let you get away without a number. So you give some number. Again, these are dummy entries which are not truly validated. So all of these can distort the data that you have. And creating outcomes which might actually be completely misleading. There are also hidden interests, hidden assumptions, and related issues. So, for example, if I want to look at what kind of items am I interested when I'm doing shopping online, if you have 25 items listed, you don't know what items am I looking at. So what do? You look at items where I am clicking and say that is a representation of my interest, which is actually has its own unrealistic issues there, right? So, and similarly, if you want to know what population of people are suffering from a disease, you may say, well, I don't know how to survey all this population across. So let me look at people who approaches a doctor or a hospital. Now, everybody with a symptom or even otherwise do not necessarily approach a hospital. So you again lose out some part of the population, which is actually very relevant for your data. If you look at image data, you have a lot of quality issues because of camera quality, obstructions, and so on. The other day, there was a CSCM article which says that autonomous driving has been kind of put on hold because the training data is a problem. So, for example, typically you take an image of a road in front of you with various traffic situations, and then try to train your system that when this situation happens, you do like this. But how many different types of scenarios can you construct? So there was a case where, there was a motorbike which had overturned and was lying on its side, and the autonomous vehicle did not detect it because it knows about motorbikes. It knows about normally driving motorbikes and maybe some accident scenarios. But if the bike turns in a particular way, or if it turns in 180 degrees, etc., it's not able to recognize it because it has no concept of a motorbike. It is trying to train based on pure data driven training. Okay. Similarly, signals which are hidden by tree branches, a human driver would know how to do this very comfortably. But how many such combinations will you be able to build in? How much of reliable image data will you be able to produce to do this kind of training? And on top of all of this is the reliability of the labeling, right? So you actually want to, for example, somebody is actually annotating it. He might be making mistakes. Again, you get wrongly labeled data, which can again actually distort the data. When you have hundreds of thousands of records, nobody is going to be able to verify that every record is genuinely labeled. So data engineering is the primary activity in data science because getting quality data in adequate number is the biggest challenge. And it is something that most of the people working in data science do not actually understand or look at. And that is why you are actually beginning to see lots of publications which are related to undesirable effects of it. So there are lots of cases where the system has been trained with, for example, you look at the admission data of your college. Okay. Now, can I use that to screen out candidates for subsequent BS? You may be unnecessarily creating biases because it is biased by the set of people you are currently having in place. Okay, these are serious, genuine problems because we have found that data has an inbuilt bias against race, against gender inequality. All of these are unknowingly being put into that. Okay, so these are all things that I think it is very important for us to keep in mind while we are looking at data science. So, because people are kind of looking at data science saying, okay, oh, I download the data from somewhere, I take this software like a Keras or PyTorch or something from somewhere, just run it, I get an output. And unlike any other software programs, you put any data, you are guaranteed to get some output and you tend to trust it, saying, okay, this is what my system predicts. Irrespective of the nature of task, seems realizable with little effort. And that's a perception that we are conveying to people. Data science is the easiest thing to do because software is available free. The data is available free. So all that you need to is just download and run the program. But that's actually a misleading picture in reality. And that is what people are actually doing. So again, if you can see during the pandemic, the early days of pandemic, lots of people were publishing predictive models of pandemic, on LinkedIn. They look at last 10 days of data and then predict 2 days data further. It looks absolutely good because you are able to make a good prediction. But after that 2 days, what happens? You don't have enough quality model that you actually produce pretty pathetic predictions subsequently. After about 2 months, 3 months, all the predictions have stopped because none of them expected the way the pandemic actually turned out. Right? So the algorithms that you're using, whether it is statistical or machine learning, they trust the data. They assume that the data is clean and you have adequate numbers, it is proper sampling has been done. So if the data is not coming from the same population on which that is going to be used, or if the sampling is not fair, you are going to pay the price in terms of the getting biased outputs. So data science appears to be an easy discipline, partly due to this easy access to quality software, which everybody is doing. Facebook, Microsoft, Google, everybody is actually throwing away the code and say, you want to do deep learning, here is the software. Because data is the king. So software is not a big problem today. So also due to the fact that the tools by and large always produce an output irrespective of the quality of input. Okay. So it is up to you as the data science people to apply your mind, doing enough checks on at the entry level, at the exit level, and the process to make sure that the output that you're producing is meaningful. So there have been many types of bias that have been identified which can distort the perception. I'll give you a couple of references in my next slide. Okay. So ensuring adequate variety in data and ensuring that relevant parameters are captured in the data are still huge manual challenges, something that you should be very, very careful with, because most of the data that is available abroad may not actually be adequately covering Indian population or our demographics. So checking confidence values of the results, whatever number that you get, if something says, zero point 0.6, doesn't mean that anything 0.5 is, true and below 0.5 is false. Most of the algorithms do have something called a confidence in a value for the output they produce. You should look at it. You should understand the significance of it to make sure that the prediction is it coming with adequate accuracy. These are all things that we must take note of, we must understand. Unfortunately, a lot of the training programs and courses do not address these kind of issues. Therefore, we create an impression that data science is a very easy discipline. Yeah, it is, and whatever that it produces is valid. And lot of bad stories are now emerging from literature internationally because of this perception. So if the data were collected from a different population, will the result hold? We don't know. So that is something you will need to ensure. Just because you got one data set doesn't mean that you have actually adequately captured whatever phenomena that you are trying to represent. So do look at this paper called Biases in AI System. It is from Communications of ACM 2021 August. It's a nice article, tell you what are all the sources from which bias can keep into a data science activity. It is talking about AI system, but most of it is machine learning. So you can do. For example, in data creation, sampling, measurement, labeling, negative data set, all of these are very easy ways to get bad data. Okay, which you possibly may not know unless you do a thorough analysis of the data that you're using before we actually do the task. Problem formulation bias, algorithm bias, evaluation bias. The paper identifies something like 20 to 25 different types of bias that is actually can creep into any data science activity. Do look at it, make sure that you are not suffering from those bias. And if you do, look at how to kind of, cure it or counter target that. There's another article from mitigating bias in AI. It's a technical report from University of California. That's also worth looking at it from a broader AI perspective. But remember, you will never live without bias because the whole field of machine learning is driven by bias. If bias was not allowed, you will never do will and the biases that may come and then try to take preventive measures to make sure that that doesn't distort the output that you are able to produce. So proper understanding of the domain and the data being used is very, very, very important. And proper understanding of the available algorithms. So I see a lot of people, they will look at, what are the popular algorithms? SVM, deep learning, that was CNN, RNN, etc. Just try all of them and see which one gives you a better number. That's not a advisable mechanism. You should look at the algorithm from the problem formulation point of view, choose or at least shortlist algorithm which is appropriate for that class. Then you can do comparison within that. Okay, just choosing a random comparison across algorithms is not a good idea because algorithms make assumptions about the data which may or may not hold for you. Okay, and you should also make sure that you take effort to model the problem and validate the output very carefully with the confusion matrix, the confidence intervals, all of that before you actually wind up or you kind of take the results out. So, in that context, I also feel, this is something that I would advise all of you to do. Data for Indian requirements is something that we do not have much. Most of you are actually downloading data published from somewhere, which is local requirement, local data, local profile. We should try to create our own repository of data. Okay, so that's Atmanirbhar Bharat or whatever that we can want to call that. So if whenever you are doing a data science project, try to create a local repository, your own repository, and contribute to a common cause. Maybe Thakur College, maybe somebody can actually create a posting mechanism so that we have good amount of Indian data available for Indian health problems, Indian environmental problem, Indian traffic conditions, Indian whatever. And that would give us more accurate information to model our requirements and build predictive models. International data may not be relevant or applicable to our context because of culture, local situations, variations, traffic rules, and things like that. So it is very important to put in some energy into it. So when somebody comes to me and say that I want to work on data science, my first question is, do you have your own local data? If you don't, my advice is don't do data science applications. Okay, just taking somebody's data and somebody's algorithm and running your program is something that anyone can do, but that doesn't add value to neither to you nor to the field. So at least try to create your own repository, study the data, study the algorithm, get a good feel, and then do whatever predictive models. And then validate the output. Is my prediction appropriate for the kind of assumption that is there in the domain? And that is a very difficult problem, but it is very important for you to actually make any claims about whether what is working and what is not working. So we need to create suitably annotated, privacy protected data in critical areas. And I hope all of you can actually contribute to it by building this. I won't take too long. So yes, data science is positioned as a lucrative and powerful field today. It is obviously something that's being far too much talked about, maybe a little bit oversold also. The caution as above need to be understood carefully and communicated to the clients clearly. So you have to explain to the user, to your reviewer, to the whichever audience, and that these efforts have been properly taken. Have you checked your data? Are you confident that the data is actually meeting the quality, quantity, and fairness and all other criteria, all the bias considerations? Okay. And if you're doing research, this also should be part of your publication. All this must be explained as to why your result is appropriate and at least sanity relevant. No one has infinite amount of absolutely reliable data. No one, including Google. And that is why they're still collecting data. So errors are bound to crop up, and it could be very hard to detect because of the nature of this domain. And that's where, as researchers, you have extra responsibility to make sure that due caution is exercised in doing all of this. So exercise due care. And for going further, explainable AI and hybrid models of data-driven and symbolic are also giving us some additional ways to address some of these problems. The idea is not to rely on completely statistical models, but bring in some domain information. So as I said, when you see a bike falling in a peculiar position, you cannot capture by training set all the possible scenarios on all the possible bikes and all the possible ways in which it can fall. Somewhere a human human understanding of what the vehicles on the road are, how they fall, what they look like are also going to be important. And that's also true for data science. In the longer run, we will need to build a combination of symbolic and data-driven models. I'm going to stop here. If there are maybe quick questions, we have time. We may be able to take some questions. Otherwise, I will hand it over to the organizing team. Thank you.
So thank you so much, sir. This was Dr. Shashikumar, the Executive Director of CDAC, who has enlightened us on various topics regarding data science. Sir, I think you have given us a very much good insight about the glimpses of data science with the challenges, pitfalls, the purposes and the predictions, the distortion of the data, the reliability of the data, the labeling and obsessions which are present in the data, why data engineering is correctly required for getting a quality data in the given stipulated time. And it is also required that the biases have to be the part of the recognition as well as the research, because without that it is not possible to create the data with the help of machine learning. So I think sir has given us a hidden message where he has really instructed every one of us to be careful, reliable, realistic, responsible and ethical when we are dealing with the branch of data science. So thank you so much, sir, for making this particular thing with us this morning. We are very much enlightened to be guided by you, and we look forward in future that we are going to get your guidance and support in our all future endeavors. I think there are certain kind of questions which are there. So with the permission from the chair, are we going to take the questions? At the end of the session, maybe, sir, we will be taking some of the questions which are pertaining to this, because we have to go ahead and proceed with the other proceedings of this particular conference.
No problem. No
So
problem.
we
You
will,
carry on.
with your kind permission, sir, we will take some of the questions at the end of the session. Thank you so much, sir. When we have listened to Dr. Shashikumar, we are well versed with the data science and its field. But we have the other stalwart and a renowned personnel amongst us, Dr. Kanan Mudgalia, the professor of Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT, and also the head of the Spoken Tutorial Project of Government of India. We need to listen to him because we are going to get his golden words, which are amalgamated with the glimpses of his experience and his research. So may I kindly request Dr. Arjun Savan, the Assistant Professor of Department of Chemistry from Thakur College of Science and Commerce, to introduce Dr. Kanan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nit sir. Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible? Good morning, all. It is my privilege and proud moment for me to introduce today's chief guest, Dr. Kanan Modgalia, who is from the IIT Bombay. Currently, he is the Professor of Chemical Engineering, System and Control, Education Technology at IIT Bombay. Refusing his early education, he did his BTech degree in the Chemical Engineering from IIT Madras with distinction in 1980. After his bachelor degree, he completed his master degree in electrical engineering from Rice University, Houston in 1985. In the same year, he completed his doctoral degree in chemical engineering from the same university, that is Rice University, Houston, USA. He is the current professor at Chemical Engineering, System and Control, Education Technology at IIT Bombay. He was the visiting professor at University of Alberta. He held the various positions at IIT Bombay, including Associate Dean, Research and Development, Head of Application Software Cell, and Head of Center for Distance Engineering Education Program. He is the member of Standing Committee of National Mission on Education through ICT, MHRD Government of India. He is a life member of International Society for Technology in Education and Computer Society of India and member of IEEE. He has written the two textbooks. One is Digital Control, which is published by the Joint Wiley and Sons, and the second book on optimization, theory and practices with Professor Mohan Joshi, which is published by the Narosa publication, New Delhi. He is now devoting his time on spreading the education on massive scale. He has been focusing on the spoken tutorial, open source software system, virtual lab, and low-cost tablet, that is Akash. He received various fellowships and awards, including Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay recognition for Re-Engineering India 2020 in the farmer welfare, industry, institutional category for having paved the path for the multilingualism by engaging the and curating spoken tutorials in various Indian languages for education, employment, and empowerment. The spoken tutorial project received Reimagine Education Award in 2015 by coming first in nurturing the employability category sponsored by QS and Wharton School. He has also received the Google MOOCs Research Award for extending the offline capability of spoken tutorial methodology in 2015. If you see his research career, he has several research papers which have the citations more than thousands. H index is 18, I-10 index is 32. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation as a chief guest for the one-day national conference on the open source data science. And on the behalf of Thakur College of Science, management, principal, vice principals, deans, and all the faculty members. Once again, I welcome you to this conference. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Arjun sir. Actually, when we are going to talk about Kanan sir, there is no such kind of introduction required, only the name tells about it. And now we are all eager to listen to Dr. Kanan. May I kindly request, humbly request sir to please take over the podium and proceed. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. Just a suggestion for the future, maybe the introduction can be much shorter. Need not have taken so much time, right? Because there are people who are waiting to ask questions and so on. We have postponed those. I'm delighted to be giving this talk here. One reason being that this is a national conference on open source data science. And Thakur College has always been on the frontier in using open source software resources. We have seen some of the amazing contributors for our projects from the Thakur College. And we have had many interactions with them. And they are also a partner in our spoken tutorial project. That is one reason. Those are two reasons. One is open source data science. The other is Thakur College is a partner. Third one is, of course, as people mentioned already, data analytics is becoming very important. In fact, it even the artificial intelligence even seems to overshadow natural intelligence, which is some people could question. But then there seem to be some amazing reasons for that. I was once talking to this company, RDP, that gave us laptops. In fact, we bought about, I think, close to 2,000 laptops, 10,000 rupee laptops, and we made them available to public. And these laptops ran on a Debian machine. And then I was talking to him one day, and I asked him, okay, how his business was doing. He said that he had received a very good order from Amazon or Flipkart, I don't remember which one, but he said that if he supplied a machine with, I think, 4 GB RAM, whatever, he said, this is the box, and the price should be, I think, 12,000 or 13,000. That if he gave it at that price, Amazon would buy or Flipkart would buy, some 5,000 machines. And he said the looks didn't matter. And it was a one-time purchase. They will not even return it. And the reason is that that company knew that if that machine had those properties, it would definitely sell. Okay. And he said it was because of data analytics. Data analytics, they told these are the things that they wanted. He said the looks didn't matter. Okay. Other things didn't matter. Whatever they specified only mattered. Okay. And so he said he was very happy. So that is one reason why I think companies know if I do it like this, my car will sell. If I do this, then something will happen. And things like that, they are able to predict. Okay, so I would like to get started with my presentation. I have some slides created. And I thought that I will talk about, a topic that I'm very passionate about these days, have been for about 20 years, but pyramids of excellence, that we should create pyramids of excellence. And can we make them attainable? So that is the question I would like to ask. And how is this connected with whatever we are dealing with, whether it is open source and so on and so forth? I hope to connect those as well. Okay. So let me start with the mother of all these open source things. FLOSS and our project FOSSI. FLOSS is free, libre, and open source software. We used to call them FOSS, but then somebody said F stands for free. Does that free denote free of cost or freedom? So then the fact that it denotes freedom is indicated by this French word libre. But even before that, those discussions happened, we already coined our project as FOSSI, free and open source software for education. So we didn't change we even created our logo here, as you see. So we didn't call it FLOSSI, otherwise we would have called it FLOSSI, but it is FOSSI. So FOSSI promotes open source software in education. And FLOSS promotes for freedoms to use the code as it is, to distribute the code, to modify the code and use it, and distribute the modified code. Why FLOSS? We can use it legally, free of cost. It is difficult to access licensed servers on commercial software through VPN. This became actually extremely important during the pandemic. It allows learners to become better programmers. It is free of cost to the industry also. And of course, some people say, what about proprietary software? I need to use this toolbox. I have a conference paper to submit. And unless I use the toolbox, I cannot do this. I say, by all means, go and use it. But it doesn't mean that you should use it in your classroom. For example, you can use Scilab, which is an amazing software for all kinds of data analysis, 3D plots, differential equations, optimization, everything. Don't get your students addicted to commercial software, right? Just because you need it for a paper, which may happen, once in a few years, don't make all your thousands of students addicted to commercial software. Objectives of FOSSI: replace proprietary commercial software with FLOSS, save institutional government money, increase the use of FLOSS in education, and create collaborative content through students and faculty across the country. I'm happy that some 300 people were there at the beginning of this inaugural, and I hope that, which is an amazing thing, so many people are coming even at the end of this pandemic, when people are getting really bored of this webinars and stuff like that. Really happy. And I want to send this message that we do create collaborative content through students and faculty across the country and enable freedom in software usage. These are some of the software systems that we promote, open source software in FOSSI project. And these are open source software as an equivalent of commercial software. Okay, one is open source software, the other is the content. What about open source, open educational resource? Okay. Creative Commons is the first one that came up with this, because the problem with copyright is that copyright just says that I have everything. Okay. And if you want to do anything about it, talk to me. But unfortunately, many people may not even be reachable. Quite a few may be even dead and gone. You can't contact them. And you always have a worry. What if I popularize it? And later on, this fellow comes and demands his or her pound of flesh. For example, I can think of 3 Idiots. As an example, this person made it, and then the author said that you didn't take my permission, for example. Our content means content created through FOSSI and spoken tutorial projects are created under Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike license. We call it CC BY SA license. So this is something that we should be aware of. Some of the implications, because we are actually talking about open source. In fact, I remember in one of the NPTEL courses, one faculty member took a video course from a web page. It was available, everybody could access it. What this person did was, he took everything from that web page, and then he said, I took it from here, I took it from here, I took it from here. He never claimed that he made it, but he cited. And the person who created the original, he got very upset. He said, who are you to share my content in NPTEL? I don't want to do it. You remove it, or I'm going to file a court case. Immediately, these people removed it. So we have to be extremely careful about licenses. So that is why this Creative Commons says under what license things are available. Do we have standards for data sharing? This is what I would like to ask. We have been asking this question because we do have a GIS lab coming here at IIT Bombay. We are promoting QGIS Mapathon, where a lot of data get collected by students and faculty and professionals and so on. Last year, 10,000 people participated in our Mapathon. What about the maps that are getting created? Can anybody go and use it? Is there a GPL kind of a license for that? Is there a Creative Commons kind of a license for that? This is something I'm not aware of. And, that is something that we need to establish. If we do that, then data sharing also will become very good. Okay. With that is the background I would like to present. Then I would say that the moment you have these licenses, then it allows people to collaborate. Okay. Pyramids of excellence through collaboration. This is something that we worked on. Spoken tutorials. We use spoken tutorials for massive training. So we trained 70 lakh students the last 10 years. We created the first layer of the pyramid that I am talking about. Train lots of people, train everybody through spoken tutorial. Then the students come and ask, okay, what can I do next? Before I go to that, I want to say one of the things that we do through this, we collect high performers in spoken tutorial and FOSSEE online tests, for example, and then conduct job fairs for them. Very successful. Both students and companies are happy. Useful to small companies because they find it difficult to, expensive to recruit, go to campuses for recruitment. Important to good students from colleges that don't have campus placement. Okay, not every college, Thakur college has, but many colleges don't have campus placement. What about these students? So I have a testimonial from this student.
Hi, my name is Shraddha Sure, and I'm the Senior Manager Talent Acquisition for Rave Technologies, as you see. So firstly, it gives me an immense pleasure to be a part of this campus today. And we have been conducting interviews since morning, and we have got our select today. So I would like to introduce him. His name is Mayur Wagmode. Okay, and we have selected him for our company. Yeah.
I'm Mayur Wagmode from Pune Vidyarthi Graj College of Engineering. I'm currently in the final year of computer engineering. There are not companies coming to our college, but I thank to Spoken Tutorial and NASCOM for arranging such a beautiful mega job fair.
If you notice, he said that companies don't come to his college for campus recruitment. So what we did was we came up with a scheme because MHRD said that you guys are so popular, everybody knows about it, and they would rather support other projects. See if we can become self-sufficient. So we came up with a, once again, very small cost subscription mechanism, just 25,000 rupees per college per year. Any number of students and teachers can appear in our online test. We have about 50 topics and they get certificates. Only requirement, of course, they cannot escape writing a test and passing it. Test is administered in colleges, invigilator's name appears in certificates. The cost can be as low as 10 to 20 rupees per certificate. If you have lots of people, then lots of certificates, then the cost can be very low per certificate, and it is only 5,000 rupees per school. It actually improved in higher efficacy of use of spoken tutorials, which is an interesting thing. Previously, only 15% of the people who were trained by us used to take this test, but after it became a paid process, which is a small amount, this number increased to 50%. In fact, I would say about 4 times. Okay. What happened was a large number of colleges participated. Half are arts, science, commerce colleges, and Common Service Center of Mighty, for example, has joined our scheme. They have 6,000 potential centers. So it benefits, as I mentioned, students from ordinary colleges and small companies, both of whom have difficulty in finding each other. So after basic training, some will aim for more. Like I said, spoken tutorial is over. What can I do? We motivate and help them go to the next level, make them creators. Can we make students creators? NPTEL is different where faculty members are contributing. What about students? What if they are good? We know that every college has good students. We have open ecosystem. Can they contribute? Can we do something about it? So second layer of the pyramid we constructed by saying Scilab textbook companions, flow sheets, circuits, case studies, and so on and so forth. All of these are in our website, fossee.in. I don't have time to go through many of them, but I have some links. For example, here is a LinkedIn page, 120 CFD case studies done by students from various colleges. Let me click this and show you my LinkedIn article on this. Collaborative case studies, it talks about who are all the students who contributed. That means we actually popularize, we tell them, look, these guys are all doing this work, they are amazing students. We have 232 chemical process flow sheets by students from various colleges. Previous one was mechanical engineering. This is chemical engineering, for example. We advertised and lots of students contributed. Okay. Next layer of the pyramid, cloud solutions, hackathon output. Okay, we have some examples. We did a 3-minute Panchatantra animation hackathon. So here is the LinkedIn post. It talks about how these students contributed and so on. Tanvi, so please tell first what you are doing, class you are in, and how you created and so on. Yeah.
I'm in class 4. I created it in Inkscape and Syncing Animating Studio. Now, what happened was when I opened the Inkscape and Syncing, that time I did not understand anything. And when I saw the one tutorial of spoken tutorial, that time I understood it very clearly. It was a very nice habit.
So we did a 3-minute Panchatantra tale-based animation using Synfig Studio, which is an open source software, and anybody could contribute. Sanvi just explained how she learned to use Synfig Studio using spoken tutorials, and she created. And let me show glimpses of the video that she created.
The heron who liked to eat the crab meat. Long time ago, there lived a heron near a pond. It was a very lazy creature, and once he got a plan to catch fishes without working much. He sat near the pond in a very...
Okay, I'll stop here. We did a Scilab Toolbox hackathon. What was this? You take any open source software and make it callable from Scilab, because Scilab is something we promote in a big way. QGIS, I told you about 10,000 students participated, and this was last year. By the way, one mapathon is going on right now. It also talks about what maps people created and so on. Now, how do we share the data? Can somebody take it and then commercialize it? What are their responsibilities to the society? These are some of the things that we are grappling with. They created clouds, eSIM on cloud, Arduino on cloud. All of these are collaboratively created, right? Open Modelica, CHE simulator. So then, of course, next layer of the pyramid, research, building simulators, etc. Major projects, entrepreneurship, and so on. Why do students contribute? They get certificates, URL of their work, which they can offer for jobs, internship, fellowships, etc. Many of them got admission to good colleges and so on. They wrote research papers. We gave honoraria when funds were available. Many have benefit. Are these pyramids attainable? Students at the top of the pyramid can be placed anywhere. So these are indeed pyramids. In fact, we could even place students at the second layer of the pyramid, right? Seeing this, students at the lower level say, hey, if only I had put in 10% more work, I could have gone to the next level. So they all aim higher and achieve. There are no limits at any level. Like, for example, in IIT, we say, we'll take only 1%. What happened to 1.1%? Sorry, we can't take it. Here, there are no limits. Anybody can go up. So the whole pyramid gets lifted. Whole pyramid. Everybody says, I could have done a little more. Whole pyramid gets lifted. Okay. Okay, I talked about attainable pyramids. Are there unattainable pyramids? So this is what I want to spend a few minutes on, something very close to my heart. Okay. And in fact, it is because of this, we have the problem of our 20,000 students stuck in Ukraine, for example, right? What is this? We have elite institutions and we have students who aspire to join these elite institutions. Unfortunately, what do? We accept only 1%. The remaining 99%, we say sorry. Okay. So what is the problem? So this view graph actually explains, it summarizes. What is it? Cost of higher education as a percentage of total income. In 2015, Japan spent 61% of their annual income on higher studies. But look at India. 5 times their annual income, highest. We are the least prosperous country in the world in all these, right? In these 5 countries, but we are spending the most. Why is this happening? Our students don't have good education. They go overseas. A lot of money is spent. To prepare for this higher education elite institutions, they spend a lot of money. I won't be surprised if they spend about 5 years preparing for IITs, for example. And the serious, so they spend a lot of money. As I mentioned, no sufficient layers are created in the past 70 years. I told you, top and bottom layer, nothing in between. Unfortunately, the entrance exam they prepare for is not useful later on. They solve thousands of convoluted trigonometry problems. Is it useful? Is it useful in real life? MIT, Stanford, and so on use Bharatanatyam, for example. If you're good in Bharatanatyam, you get some points. Well, unfortunately, in a place like IIT, you cannot do that. 10 million people, 10 lakh, 1 million people apply. And you cannot be looking at all that. So it is a life skill. But solving 10,000 convoluted trigonometry problems, is it helpful anywhere? For students who get into IIT and for students who don't get into IIT, wherever they go, is it useful? So can we at least make this preparation useful subsequently? The student tried, studied, worked very hard. They didn't get into IIT. Can they at least become a good engineer, good chemical engineer, good electrical engineer, and so on and so forth? Can we split engineering education in 2 stages? This model can be useful for other disciplines also. For example, even in medicine or sciences, so on and so forth, it is possible to do that. We are already beginning to create ICER versus remaining colleges, for example. So can we do that? So how do we do that? So what I propose is, let the students after 12th, let them go and join any college. Okay. If they study chemical engineering, let them join. Let them, if they like chemistry, let them join a good college that teaches chemistry. Now, at this level, IITs are not there. Maybe some top NITs are not there. Okay. But all other colleges will be there. Hundreds of colleges, thousands of colleges are there. Okay. Typically, a student should be able to get into one of these colleges without any problem based on their 12th performance, for example. Of course, you can have a national level training test and then select people on whatever. But because there are lots of colleges, typically the students will get into this without any problem. What is the main advantage? They will get their childhood back. They don't have to struggle for 10 years. It's not a life or death situation. Of course, we don't believe it is a life or death situation, but students feel so. I tell them, why are you so crazy about IITs? People will say, who are you to say that? You benefited by the IIT system. Why are you trying to prevent me from joining IIT? So I cannot even say that. So the point is that they work very hard and they don't get in, and it creates a lot of problem. Here we say, you don't have to worry about. Anyway, you have 2 years, you can prepare for it. And how do you prepare? We have amazing open source content called NPTEL. Why is it amazing? In fact, we found one student from NIT Srinagar. getting into, getting this coveted Prime Minister's fellowship. Okay. And she got 60,000, 70,000 as fellowship, and she was only some 21, 22-year-old. And we were amazed, and she did amazingly well in the interview. We thought even IIT students didn't answer so well. We asked her, you're from NIT Srinagar, which is closed half the time because of all the problems there. How did you do so well? She said she studied from NPTEL. She studied from NPTEL, and it was so good. She got in. She was very good. So we have such a thing. Let students study. It is available to everybody. We used to conduct a program called Ask a Question for 10 years. It's an amazing thing. Why? Because typically students, the top students in many colleges, many schools have problems in the top 5%. They have difficulty only in 5%. They are good in 95%. Okay. But there is nobody to answer that difficult 5%. So what do? They have to go to coaching classes. But coaching classes don't know what that 5% is. What do they say? Sorry, you have to learn the whole thing. So they go to this integrated coaching. Their schools are completely destroyed. They join, they learn everything. Why can't you teach only that 5%? IITs can do that. We have done that. Ask a question. You come and ask a question. I will answer it free of cost. Right? Don't waste my time and asking all the simple things which are already answered in the book. I don't have the time. I will answer only the difficult questions. Right? It's an amazing thing. You have this NPTEL, you have this ask a question, you can actually solve this whole problem. You can empower the students. We are now talking about protecting IIT brand. But remember, our forefathers who created the IIT system, did they want to create the IIT system to create a brand? Or did they create it to provide a level playing field? Now we are protecting the brand, but we have forgotten the level playing field. We did some survey and found that students who have 5 times the income have 5 times the higher probability of getting into IITs. Okay, so we have protected the brand, but forgotten the underlying thing. So anyway, the solution that I have, many other solutions are possible. This is one solution. This is not pyramid like the way I mentioned, but it is possible to create lots of intermediate layers. Let the students go anywhere. And there are lots of these colleges, let them go. And the other benefit is a college says, supposing this is a college that says 10%, I'm going to lose my students to IITs. Okay, it is not a good thing because their tuition, their seats will become vacant. But on the other hand, look at your brand name. Look at the jobs that your remaining 90% of the students will get because they also studied, they didn't get into IIT. They studied NPTEL, they also participated and asked a question. They are going to become good engineers. They are going to become problem solvers. They can be placed anywhere. They can go to MIT, they can go to Stanford, for example, because you have done very well. You're not in the top 1%, but you are in the top 2%. They understand the value of this. So what I'm saying is it is going to be extremely good and you can in fact charge 10% more next year, for example. So this is going to be a game changer for our entire country. Okay, I think this is what we should do. And if they don't make it into IIT next 2 years, they can do MTech, for example. What about colleges? What if there are colleges that send 20%? Well, you become an elite institution. You are able to send 20%. You better be an elite institution. So that way, we are also allowing, creating a mechanism for colleges to go to the top layer to become an IIT, for example, right? So this is an amazing song created by, I will translate it in the next slide, our national poet Bharatiya. What did he say? Instead of building 1,000 chowdhuries to provide free food, instead of building 10,000 temples or doing several such philanthropies to give name and fame, one can get 1 crore times more punya by teaching just one poor. Okay, forget about free food, forget about temples. Give free education to one poor child. This is what nationalist poet Subramanya Bharatiya said. Let me read it out because you can hear some Tamil also. Anna Sattiram Ayiram Vaital, Alayam Padinayiram Nattal, Pinnarulla Dharmangal Yavum, Peyer Vilangi Olira Niruttal, Anna Yavinum Punyam Kodi, Angor Yereku Eruth Arivittal. So I'll stop my talk. Our work is funded by the Ministry of Education through NME ICT. It used to be called MHRD. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I wish the conference all the success. Thank you. Let me stop sharing.
So thank you so much, sir. So sir has given us the insight about the overshadowing of the natural intelligence by the artificial intelligence. He has also given us the insight about the data analytics and specifications along with the pyramids of excellence, applications of the open sources, and he has emphasized upon the training, support to the students and creators amongst the students. On this particular note, it is required that we are going to proceed with the further things in the national conference, and now we are going to unveil the proceedings of the national conference, which will be released at the hands of all the guests over here. So may I kindly request for the release of the proceedings of the national conference with the help of the soft copy as well as the hard copy. I request all the guests to please do the honors. And here we are unveiling the copies of the proceedings of the national conference, which is a compiled data of 220 pages. Thank you so much all the dignitaries to unveil this particular proceedings, which will be available to everyone. So thank you so much all the dignitaries. With the kind permission from the chair, we are now coming to the concluding part of this particular inaugural session of a one-day national conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end this particular session, but it will be really unfair if we are not going to place on record the gratitude towards all the pillars of this conference who have made this conference a success, and they have participated for various kinds of activities in this conference. Hence, I kindly request Dr. Girish Tere, the Assistant Professor from Department of Computer Science and Organizing Secretary of the conference, to propose the formal vote of thanks. Over to you, sir. Dr. Girish Tere.
Thank you, Anish sir. Thank you, Anish sir. Honorable Professor Kanan Modgalya, Chief Guest, our Management Trustees, Jitendra Singh ji sir, Manoj sir, Sagar sir, our beloved Principal Madam, Dr. Chaitali Chakravarti, Vice Principal Dr. Asgikar sir, and Dr. Nishikant sir, and our most valued invited guests, teachers and students. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of organizing committee of National Conference on Open Source Data Science 2022, and on my own behalf, extend very hearty vote of thanks to Chief Guest Dr. Kanan and all speakers for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. We are very thankful to Dr. Kanan Modgalya for accepting our invitation and enlightening us on various topics. His simplicity, dedication, and working for masses motivates us a lot. We are waiting for a day when Dr. Kanan will visit our college and will get opportunity to work with him. I have privilege to work with Spoken Tutorial project and spoken tutorial courses help our students to improve their skills a lot. I'm thankful to Dr. Shashikumar sir for accepting our invitation and enlightening us on data science. Actually, in short time, we should carry on research in data science. Thank you to Shashikumar sir. We are thankful to management trustees, Jitendra Singh ji sir, providing such a valuable, best infrastructure possible to us. We are thankful to management responsibilities, Manoj sir, Sagar sir, for spending a lot of time for improving us time to time. We are thankful to our invitee, Dr. Mudholkar sir. He was my guide for PhD and today he has attended the conference. Thank you, sir. Our principal madam asked us to conduct a national conference and we started work. She has helped us a lot and gave us opportunity to conduct conference. Thanks to Vice Principal Dr. Asgir sir. Whenever we face any problem, we just contact him and he definitely helps us with some solution with smiling face. We are very thankful to Vice Principal Dr. Nishikant Jha sir and attending this inaugural session. We are thankful to Dr. Santosh Singh sir, IQSC coordinator, and because of his efforts, college is improving more and more. We are thankful to both deans, Dr. Vijay Jadhav sir and Parul madam, for gracing this occasion. They guided us time to time. We are very thankful to all HODs, coordinators, all teachers for helping us in whatsoever help we requested for. Our technical team, special thanks to those with the help of Shivkumar sir and many students, they are helping us in all the various technical activities. Students like Rohan, Saurabh, Jay, Yash, Abhishek, many students help us. We are thankful to non-teaching staff, peons for completing this particular conference work. We are also thankful to Vineet sir for anchoring this particular session, and because of that every session becomes live. So thank you, Vineet sir. So I once again, on behalf of Thakur College of Science and Commerce, thanks to each one present here and wish every participant for best paper presentation. We stop here. Over to Vineet sir.
Thank you so much, Girish sir, for proposing the formal vote of thanks. With the permission from the chair, we are going to conclude. But before we conclude, the instructions for all the delegates to join their technical sessions in the respective groups, your group coordinators are going to instruct you on your WhatsApp groups about which particular link you are going to follow and join. So thank you so much, every one of you. Have a nice day, have a nice weekend, and have a fruitful conference. May I kindly request the technical team to please conclude the session with the permission from the chair. Thank you.